Alright, welcome and greetings and salutations. We have here a Witschi Watch Expert. The problem with this, if you can see the display and look at here closely, you'll see that there's some grayed out areas right here, right here, right here, and right here. In other words, the display is gone. It is kaput. It is not working as it should. So we're going to try to fix that. We'll get rid of that power cord there. And we're going to fix it by replacing it. This is the replacement display, and hopefully it is the right one. It is an LM213XB. Rev B in this case. This was made by somebody. It's not actually clear here who the manufacturer is, which is unfortunate. I believe it originally was Hitachi. In any case, these are found used. I got this one for about 20 euros out of Germany. That was the best price I could find. They generally cost more than that, upwards on the range of 60 plus euros out of China. But that is what is available as of 2025. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what we can do here. Now, to get it open, all we have to do is remove 6 little screws here. Easy peasy. I've done this before, so it will go rather quickly. Now, when you're tightening these screws, putting it back together, do be careful. You don't want to over-tighten them because the inserts are into the plastic housing here, which I don't know what kind of plastic it is, but it is incredibly rigid and brittle based on the age. So be careful not to over-tighten them, putting them back on. I've heard that people sometimes break them just taking them off. I don't know if that's the case or not here. Alright, once you've gotten the screws out, you'll notice that there are these rubber tabs here. You'll also notice that these are rubber feet at the bottom. These rubber feet have a matching feature on the inside, which makes it kind of hard to get things out here. So we're going to start by just taking off this panel, gently sliding it through there, middle panel, nothing special, done. Alright, next we're going to take out the PCB, and this has got to come more or less straight out. But again, we've got to get around these rubber feet on the bottom here. So we're going to go mostly straight out, but also a little at the top, pardon me. And then we can get around those features on the bottom. Here's the housing here, nothing special there. All right, over to here. So what we see is the display that we previously talked about. This is clearly a different manufacturer, but the display itself looks like it's spot on, so hooray, we got that part right. Now, the connection is over here on some headers, which are just soldered into the board there. I may get some new headers if this doesn't work out, but my intention is to reuse these headers right here because this display is already kabunk, so there's no reason to keep it around and working. So, without further ado, let's get this out of here. We're going to do that by removing these 3 screws, and then let's leave those over there. And then there's one connector here that we're going to have to use some pliers for. So we're going to be very careful to try to not touch the back of the instrument because there's a lot of electronics and things there. All right. So those 3 screws are gone. And now the last one, we're just going to need to get some pliers and gently squeeze here in order to push that through. So let me go ahead and grab those. And we're back. Gonna use some glasses here to make my life easier. These are not the ideal pliers for the job, but they will work. So just gently squeeze that to get that through the hole. Then we'll turn it over here and voila, it's already off. Again, here you see the headers. Simple headers, you can buy these at DigiKey or any electronics store. And again, it doesn't make sense to reuse these. I'm just going to do it because I don't want to go to the store tonight. So we will do that by desoldering here, removing, and then replacing. Before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about this board. So when I received this unit, it has been used by somebody else for, who knows, 20 years. I have the following problems with the unit. Number one, the timing was just a little bit off. So I did adjust this screw here. You can do that with an external source. I can show that perhaps in another video, but anyhow, when you adjust that and get the timing on, calibration, everything looks beautiful on that side. On this side, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 switches. Of these switches, approximately 2 of them are no longer functional. I looked up these switches to try to get a replacement switch, and it turns out these switches are no longer manufactured. However, you still can get the black switches, the same size and shape, but black instead of yellow. I will perhaps leave the part number for that in the description. The unfortunate thing is you can't get the original yellow color. I'm not sure how I'm going to address that. I may do it by machining these off so that I can get the original front off of this button and then gluing it on to one of the new black ones. I have not quite decided yet, but that's one option I'm looking into. Anyhow, because let's face it, the color's cool. It'd be nice to keep that. Alright, so back to where we're at here. We have this and this. We're going to just compare the headers here to make sure that they are the same, and they are. It's using every single pin there, so that looks fine. Looking at the physical interface here, they're a little bit bent in a few places. I'm noticing that it's actually 2 headers. It's one long piece here, and then this last one just has 4 connections there. That presumably is because these come in 4, 8, 12, 16. So this is 16 long, and this last one is just a piece of 4. Anyhow, that may be easier to remove these 4 first and then to remove the other larger piece. But we will get out the soldering iron and we will get to work. So, welcome back. Did a little pause there. During the pause, we soldered these on, and we got some nice clean solder joints there. Hopefully that will do the trick. So now we're just going to reassemble everything. Here is our main board. Here is this. We're going to go ahead and throw this plug back in here. Okay, so that did actually take a bit of conniving, but in the end it decided to cooperate. Thank goodness. Alright, so with that in place, I'm going to carefully align the pins here, and hopefully everything lines up all right. One thing to remind us of is that even though all the pins in the LCD go through, it turns out that the top and the bottom pins on this end actually don't connect to anything, so you have to line them one pin off from the end there. When we do that, voila, everything lines up nice and pretty, and then we will go ahead and put the screws in, first loose and then tight. So, new display, hopefully it will do the trick. Old display. The original display evidently was made in Taiwan. And here's the number, the LM213XB. This is LM213XB, Rev B. So, hopefully same. Alright, that's that. Here is the housing. The first time I took this apart, I did clean out the inside here. It was a little bit dusty, but it should be fine at this point. So, very carefully, at least somewhat carefully, I'm going to insert the bottom there. And then drop down the top. And make sure everything's lined up on this side, and it looks like we're good to go. So go ahead and get this lined up as well. That's all aligned. And now for the screws. I'm just going to drop these in for starters. Tighten them up. And now that they are tightened but not too tight, going to go ahead and test it out. So, safety. And I'm going to go ahead and put in the power. And here is the moment of truth. Oh my goodness. The contrast is way, way off. Not cool. So it's clearly, the display is there and I can see it, but it's clearly gone completely black. And that is a pity. And I don't know what's going on there. So what do we do? Well, no dead pixels, but we're going to have to fix this somehow. And I'm not sure how this is done. I mean, we can put on a watch, but that's not going to help us any. Everything's still working fine, yes. And clearly the interface is correct because you can see it in the background there, but clearly the display contrast is completely wonky. So how are we going to fix that? Let's see here. I don't think we can. Let's see here. Measurement time, lift angle. No. Lift angle, graph resolution. That's not going to change anything.